Now turn up.
What up? This is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. This is Jackson. As you can see, he's getting a lot more alert here. Yup. You're almost 3 months old. Yeah, almost 3 months old. I have everything prepared. He just fed, so we have milk, we have extra, we have a burp cloth. We're ready to go, right? Yeah, but my arm's gonna get tired if we do it that way, so I'm probably gonna be putting you down and up. All right, so what you're here for? You're not here for him. I know he's probably cute, but you're here for Dynasty running back decisions. We're on Sleeper ADP. I feel like Sleeper is probably one of the most accurate websites when it comes to average draft positions, especially for Dynasty. So we're going to be going through some different running backs, and when I was going through some of the ADPs, it was surprising me of like where some of these running backs were, because I have some running backs 6, 7, 8 spots separating some of these guys, and the first one is not a big kind of it's not a bold prediction or anything like that, but when it comes to it, it is ADP of 13 and 15.5, and this is the not running back 13 and not running back 15.5. It's the overall ADP. So the overall ADP is, and this is of course super flex. I didn't do the one QB, but so Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Where do you go? What do you do? What do you think? Yeah, no opinion on this one quite yet, but I think, in my opinion, I'm taking Nick Chubb. I see that Derrick Henry's had 2 amazing years, but the likelihood of him going into, like, I mean, he's getting older. I mean, when we start getting into the 28-year range, 28, and then he's like, how many years left of Derrick Henry do we have, and how many years of Nick Chubb do we have left? I think Nick Chubb's in a perfect run situation as well, just like Derrick Henry, but I feel like with Nick Chubb, you're getting a running back that you're just getting the extra years to him. Even if I'm a contender, I'm really thinking about taking Nick Chubb over Derrick Henry, and that might be a little bit more bold when it comes to a guy that literally just had 2,000 yards rushing. Oh yeah, you are just all focused on that camera today. So, Nick Chubb over Derrick Henry in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I've talked about Derrick Henry. I'm probably one of the lowest I've ever seen on Derrick Henry. It's just I know what his talent can be, and I know what his production's been in the last 32 games. But I also know that he is getting to that breaking point of where he's going to be falling through the ice, and his production's going to go way down. And I am going to believe that is sooner than later. And even if he has a really good 2021, I think 2022 is the latest, you could say, down the road that he would drop off at. All right, so the next one, and this is kind of a, I don't know, you could say like a 3-headed kind of, or maybe even 4-headed, like kind of, these are all same age running backs. We have Cam Akers, Swift, Naja Harris, and J.K. Dobbins. Where do we go from here? What is the order that I would rank some of these guys? So I'm surprised Naja Harris is already this high up into this list. He hasn't stepped foot on the NFL field yet. And Pittsburgh is that kind of appealing Pittsburgh is that appealing situation because we've seen what Pittsburgh's done with running backs before there, and this Pittsburgh team is a lot different. They don't have the offensive line. They have Big Ben on his last arm length here, so it's definitely a different league, but or different team. Sorry. And so my order is Swift and Dobbins very closely over Naja Harris, and then Naja Harris over Cam Akers. Cam Akers still, I mean, even Sleeper has him predicted for over 330 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground with also almost 1,300 yards. That's an incredible season. That's 1,600 yards and 11-ish touchdowns. Like I don't think I can see Cam Akers doing that. But it is in the realm of possibilities, but Cam Akers is my least of that kind of tier there. Then we have players like, I'm going to go with, this is probably the big one, is Antonio Gibson versus Aaron Jones. This is where I think you cannot fall into the trap. In the trap, you might be going, ooh, which one's a trap? Which one's a trap? The trap is actually Aaron Jones. And the reason for it is because Aaron Jones is getting onto that second contract. He just got re-signed. So now we have that kind of appealing, oh my goodness, what can Aaron Jones do? Versus Antonio Gibson, who I am absolutely loving. And I think everyone does. And he is still being potentially underrated because he has all the tools in the world at Washington to be a top 5 running back. In fact, he has top 3, 4 upside. He has like the Christian McCaffrey upside, which is a scary thought because he is one of the best pass catching running backs. I mean, he basically played wide receiver at Memphis, which is crazy. And then his rushing, he showed how good he was on the ground last year. Just got hurt a little bit, did have a high touchdown percentage on the ground, which I think that will go down, but I think his volume will go up. So volume will go up, touchdowns will go down. Still could be easily a top 10 running back. And I feel like I'm almost too low on him, being right around 10. So that's just something to definitely think about. And another couple players here, it's really weird to see how far Javonte Williams has dropped. Or not dropped even, but just how far he is down. I mean, you look at ADP, you want Naja Harris, you're going to have to go into like the 25-30 range. You want Javonte Williams, where is he? 57.8. You are talking about a 2-round startup draft difference. I am wanting Javonte Williams over the other running backs that are there, which is David Montgomery and Chris Carson. We've already heard Javonte Williams being potentially the starting running back. And this is Dynasty. If you're going to redraft, you're not taking Javonte Williams here. We know that. But in Dynasty, I am taking the young gun, the young Javonte Williams, who... You're raising your hand? You're taking Javonte Williams? Yeah. Jackson is taking Javonte Williams because Javonte Williams, at this point, is easily, in my opinion, better than David Montgomery. Just as a talent standpoint and just future standpoint. And Chris Carson has potentially a good year in Seattle, but I don't believe in Chris Carson long term. So easily Javonte Williams over even, I mean, him and Travis Etienne are so close in rookie drafts in my opinion, but you're getting Travis Etienne a round earlier. You're getting Naja Harris 2.5 rounds earlier, which is just completely mind-boggling that is actually happening through there. Just a couple other running backs just to kind of look at here. So we have this kind of like, do we feel like they're old and busted? Do we feel like they could be something? I mean, because in between you have the Javonte Williams and then you have all these kind of running backs where it starts to get a little slippery slope. And when I talk about that is you get the Chase Edmonds, you get the Michael Carters, you get the Trey Sermons, you get the James Robinsons. Like, you get these running backs that really it's hard to gauge, like, are they going to be something? Are they not going to be something? Who's going to bust? And these are running backs that what? You don't like those running backs? Or you do like those running backs? Oh, he's got my beard. No beard. So, like, I'm just going to go through what I would rather have in Dynasty. I see that we have, like, the Melvin Gordon sitting at 106.9 in startup Superflex. And then we get players like A.J. Dillon, 109, Leonard Fournette, 116, Mike Davis, 106. It's weird that I would, if you told me like 12 months ago or 6 months ago, I'm taking Mike Davis over Melvin Gordon, I'm going like, what in the world has happened to Dynasty Fantasy Football? But that is happening. So Mike Davis, I would rather have than Melvin Gordon. And A.J. Dillon, I'm rather having than a Melvin Gordon type too. When I get into this stage, this kind of ADP after 100, or even after 90, I am taking the big shot. I'm taking the chances that I'm taking the chance that if Aaron Jones goes down, A.J. Dillon could easily be a top 10 fantasy football running back, at least for a year. And there's chances that it could be even for a longer period of time. A.J. Dillon is a really good running back when it comes to, I guess, his power. And, I mean, he's not Derrick Henry, because no one's Derrick Henry, but he's the closest thing we've ever seen to him. What? So there's still, I mean, they drafted him in the second round. There's still chances that A.J. Dillon could be a good fantasy running back. And then we get players like Raheem Mostert, Damian Harris, James Conner, Zach Moss. And this is kind of where the situation where you have to figure out, and so it's not dynasty decision, it's what is your dynasty, I guess, team outlook? Are you contending now? If you're contending now, you're taking Raheem Mostert. If you're contending now, you're probably taking more of probably even like a Leonard Fournette. If you're way rebuilding, I'm easily taking the Zach Mosses, of course, easily. Or Kenyon Drake is a little bit older, but I'm taking Kenneth Gainwell, or I'm taking Singletary. I'm not taking like a David Johnson. So these are all kind of different running backs in there. Really, it gets really sketchy after the top like 20 running backs here. So that's why I really love, like, this is a really top heavy, like, I mean, of course there's 20 running backs is a lot. I love like 15, not love, but I really like 15 good running backs. And then there's a couple more that I like, oh yeah, I really like those. And then it falls off the cliff. And I think that's where, if you get stuck into like 0 running backs, you're going to really hurt, because I think there's a lot of good running backs. There's a few elite running backs, but that is what, but if you are stuck with, let's just go. Let's just see what that would be like. I'm just going to go down. Yeah, if you're stuck into like the 70s and whatever, you're talking about James Robinson, Myles Gaskin, Trey Sermon, Michael Carter, like if that is your running back 1, you're screwed. If you're running back 2, you're really struggling. So you really need to, I mean, that's why I draft running backs early when it comes to Dynasty, and even with Superflex. It's kind of the, okay, can I get quarterbacks and running backs, and then how can I patch in wide receivers that have so much depth? And that's the key, is they have so much depth in that wide receiver position. And I'm okay with having a couple wide receiver 2-3s to try to fill in with my, it just depends on your league roster, Dynasty roster there, right? Depends. It always depends. That's why we have us like try to help people through their teams, because not everyone gets the same advice for even the same exact player in the same exact trade, right? You just tooted. Say, I tooted. Yay. All right, this is Marcus and Jackson with Dynasty Football Dads. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Say bye.
Now turn up.